Hello everyone, welcome to the channel. Welcome if you're new. I'm Stacy and today we are going to do a little lighthouse seascape situation. Kind of just drew my own lighthouse. It isn't really any particular lighthouse. Put in a skyline, some indication of rocks here and there, and yeah, we're just going to freehand this. I'm using my set of Kuretake Gansai Tambi Watercolors. This is how they come. This is the gorgeous box they come in. I swatched them on the sheet that's stuck to the lid. Pardon my hair, it's everywhere. We do have a few metallic colors in here, or pearlescent if you will. They have white and gold, white, bluish gold, and gold in here. Otherwise, they're all just pretty regular. You get this little swatch card as well, but I like a nice big swatch. And this was super fun to do. There's all of our colors. Gorgeous, gorgeous. Because this is what they look like in the palette, and the palette comes with, I'm going to just set that guy up there. So, ooh, cheese rice, so that I can see it. And then it also has a little plastic protector for all your little wells. Now, I'll just set that on the floor for now. You want to go ahead and spritz or dampen this whole situation to get them going. Generally, I do this with most of my paints when I start out. I'll go through and give them a quick spritz just to activate them so you don't have to work so hard. And you can see some of them have shrunk and curled up as they've gotten wet and dried, wet and dried. I have a couple that split over here. But overall, I love this palette. It's a lot of fun. I've used it here and there, mostly for practice, not on video. I'm not sure why, but I thought we'd get it out today and go ahead and do a fun, loose watercolor painting. Let's do, I have graphite in my sky. That's alright. That's okay. I'm not going to worry about it. I'm working on Strathmore's 400 series 140 pound cold press watercolor paper. I am going to go ahead and drop in my sky, and I want my sky to look a little stormy but have a sunset situation happening as well. So we're going to play with that idea. I'm going to go ahead and wet it. You don't want it too wet and too puddly. There's a line. You're looking for a glow on the page and no puddles anywhere. Just lean to the side and look at your paper from an angle if you need to make sure you didn't miss any spots. And yeah, there we go. It is going to buckle up a little bit, but that's okay. I'm not going to worry about that. I'm going to use this lovely pink. And we are going to go ahead and drop it in down here. I'm going to put it along the edge of my lighthouse and up here in the sky. Isn't that pretty? And that'll give my lighthouse some glow. Isn't that nice? And what color are you? You're pretty. Oh, 3 turquoise blue. Let's, maybe we'll save the turquoise blue for the water. We'll save the turquoise blue for the water. I'm going to use my ultramarine, which is this one, for my sky. And we'll just gently drop that in. Let it mix and move around. Look at that, isn't that pretty? Digging it. Go ahead and put it up here as well. And my upper, let's really want this line to be pink. Like that. Good. Okay. And then maybe some lavender in there as well. Ooh. Why not? And this is just a fun play, practice, see what the paints will do. I haven't done a lighthouse in a while. I generally steer clear of doing lighthouses. Well, I can tell you why. Drop in a little more pink. There's some little purple streaks in our pink. Put a little ultramarine over here. Let that kind of bleed around. Oh, that ultramarine's so nice. Alright. I want to... Ooh, indigo. That is 4 in on this row. I have out my palette, which has gouache on it, so we're going to ignore the gouache that's on the palette. I just needed mixing space for colors. We're going to mix indigo. Do I have the right one? Indigo. I have some Prussian now. Ultramarine. And make a little darker blue for the corners. And that upper sky. And kind of let that bleed down in. Like that. Maybe get some streaks in. And your sky can, if you want, you can dot in some clouds with a paper towel. It will do that for you if you want puffy clouds. I don't really want puffy clouds in this one. I'd like to keep it pretty loose and one of those, yeah, I'm digging the streaky, that streaky look like that. We'll drop in some maybe some poofy clouds off on the edge. Just little different textures. Tap, tap, tap. See, I don't really care for those dark spots right there. So we're just gonna tap in some purple. Grab some of this purple. The colors are on the paper underneath. It's also got the numbers on the bottom of each little well. This is lilac. I'll put it over here. Mix it with a little bit of our, oops, pink. Come over here. Get in some cotton candy clouds. Yeah, that's pretty. Some distant ones. Okay. I'm picking at this point. Oh yeah, I like it. I like it. I would like my indigo paint's a little sticky. Indigo. I like it to be a little darker up here. My tape's coming up off the table, but that's alright. Alright, I'm going to leave that alone. I'm going to come down and do our water. Now, I think I might switch brushes. Oh, that was sorry I didn't tell you, my Princeton Neptune round number 18, my go-to wash brush for big areas. This one is my 3/4 inch cat's tongue faux squirrel from Zen Art, which is also a fantastic brush. Let's just rough that up a little bit. Alright, let's choose, ooh, that really pretty what color was this again? Turquoise blue. Isn't that pretty? So pretty. I'm going to drop that in here. And our water. Down here. Okay. My rocks, because this is pretty nighttime, right? I'm dipping this black. I'll make this a little, this mixture here just a little dark, more of a silhouette color. My indigo and my black, a little bit of Prussian, make it an interesting dark color, and come in and kind of just drop in the rocks here underneath the lighthouse. That. And I do have out my bleed proof white. We may come in with that in a bit. Grab some more, and this is a pretty thick consistency. I'm just going to tap it in, make some dark and light marks like that. I'm going to thin it out kind of a lot, nice and thin, lots of water, and I'm going to gently, softly skim from, this is the light area, we don't want to mess with that part right now, so underneath this light, I'm going to put a shadow there. Underneath here, I'm going to drop in a shadow there. And then I'm going to come down. Right, and I could even a little lighter than that. Down the side of my lighthouse into the rocks. Do a little bit of that. I don't want it to be too dark, but I do want it to feel shadowy, right? And my window that's right here, I'll both do that, okay? And right here is where there's a bit of crumble and a bit of breakage happening on the side of the lighthouse. So we'll do that. They don't really use that floor, so it's a little dark. But there is someone up here that turned green because of all the blue. Got a lot of blue going on. Alright, getting wrapped up in details before it's time. I do want to put in a little yellow glow here so I don't forget that I don't want to paint over these two spots. And I would like to put a gentle, top of this one's pretty dirty. Maybe we'll scrape that off a bit. Get to the real color, which is cadmium yellow. And grab that cad yellow, put it here, a little bit of fresh water. Okay, then I'm going to put a little glow here, like that. I don't want to fuss with it too much because there's a lot of blue and pink and it'll mix in, right? We don't want that. So I'm just going to do a little glow there. I like that. Alright, coming back in to our ocean. Go ahead. My tape's coming up. And my paper too wet. Well, it's not too wet. It's too wet for the tape, for sure. Grab that. Put it through there. Don't forget back here. Gorgeous line right there. And maybe we have a bit of pink purple glistening here and there. Why not? Put some down here. Pink. Like that. And maybe some of that dark sky is reflecting down here. And then, let's see, can I do this? Is it going to do this for me? I can. Woo! Alright, that looks up nice. We can create a little bit of ripple in our water. Dig it. Put a little bit of dark down here. Like that. That. Let's see. And I'm probably going to come on top with a little bleed proof white. We'll see how things feel at the end to get in some, I want this to feel a little frothy right here. Some of that, you know, movement on the page. Where the, see, a little bit of froth. Just water on the page and blot. Oh, this blots up really nicely. Look at that. Okay. And it could come out like this. Blot through there. Nice. Nice, nice, nice. Put in a little dark. Through here. Maybe through there. Yeah, that's pretty. Okay. It doesn't necessarily need to shoot way up. It's not always a dramatic scene at the lighthouse, you know. Sometimes it's just you know, let's put a little bit of pink glow on our froth. Going in like that. It's interesting, right? I'm not digging what's happening up here in my sky. I don't care for this. But I'm going to leave it alone. Leave it alone. Not everything needs to be messed with. I'm going to gently try. Should I use the other brush? Oh, this is my Velvet Touch Princeton round number 10. This brush just has a little more snap, which I feel like gives me a little more control. It's a little firmer. When I say it snap, that just means the brush itself is a little more firm consistency than my other watercolor brushes, which tend to be a little floppy. And your line back here does not need to be perfectly straight. I mean, horizontal, yes, but it can have some little bumps and nuance to it. Because no matter how hard we try, that way back there is not. I'm just going to drag it across the texture of the paper. Little dry brush. The brush is wet, but not too wet. It's allowing the texture of the paper to peek through. And you can come in and get in some dark spots. And it creates depth and interest in your piece. And come over here, we don't want to forget this side. All the way out. I'm going to grab a little more indigo. There we go. Plop that in over here. And through here. I like that little bit of darkness back there at the edge of the water. Just where it meets the sky. It doesn't need to be all the way through. And then you can come down here and put in some dark spots, some frothy areas. I did have a bit of rock right here, which I'm going to go ahead and plop in up just above the surface of the water there, a little bit there. Drop in a little bit of dark at the bottom. It'll be a little darker like that. Just adds a little element of intrigue and interest, right? There we go. I like it. And this is just a fun, loose practice. It doesn't need to be, you know, the be-all, end-all of the world. Let's grab some turquoise, mix it in with that. Come down here and plop in some movement through there, like that, and through here, like that. Yeah, I like it. Alright, let's play it. Let's leave this alone for now. And come in here, a little turquoise back here, so that it feels more like, so that there's a color variant between the rocks and the sea. You can go ahead and drop some turquoise back here. Like that. Yeah, I dig it. Okay. We'll see how it dries. Alright. Now, I like the granulation of the blue up here. We do have a couple of super dark spots up here. I've got way too much water going on. I think I'm just going to leave it alone. Yeah, that's pretty wet. Just ruined my sky. Just ruined my sky. That's alright. Just pull it down. Little dry brush techniques. Okay, I'm gonna leave that alone. Now, don't mind the noise out in the hallway. There's vacuuming. I don't want a true red. This brick red over here, it's maroon. Mix with that yellow a little bit. It's fine. And I'm gonna drop in some color on my lighthouse. Down to about here. Like that. Like that. There's our red. It doesn't need to be a true red. You can put down a burgundy and then, you know, maybe it's rusty, maybe it's old lighthouse, maybe there's a lot going on. Let's see where we put the blue in. It looks shadowy. It mixed with that blue, which we can intensify if we want to. We can drop some more blue on there. Create more interest. Like that. And then the brickwork, I don't want it to be white, I don't think. You know what we're going to do? We're going to take a little bit of the pink and the blue and make kind of a weird gray color. This pink mixed in with all of our blues that we have over here. See, it makes that really pretty. Here, I'll mix a lot of it so you guys can see better. I'm almost down. I really like this pink. I'm down to the pan on the bottom of it. But if you mix the pink with the blue, you get this really pretty gray. Isn't that nice? I dig that. Kind of a lavender tint to it. If I remember, I'll block out his vacuuming little bit of water, and we're going to come in. We're going to tint our entire lighthouse gray, and then work around the window. I'm just going to gently drag it down, trying not to pick up any of what's going on underneath my grayish color. And just work your way down like that. Just give it a little drag around the window and drag it down and back up. And there we go. Get that. Oops. Try and get a crisp line on the edge there, where it's more in shadow, like that. And maybe give it just a teeniest blot along this edge where it's shiny. There. Yeah. I dig it. Okay. And I think I'd like to blot in a couple stones here and there. A little extra texture happening. Maybe this lighthouse was built out of stones and mortar, and that's why it's crumbly and falling a little bit in disrepair. I'll leave that alone for now. Ooh, let's do the top, which I'm going to use that red color for. Just the tippy hairs of the brush for these delicate parts. Barely touching the paper at all. Just enough to deposit pigment. I'm not going to do the whole thing. There's some shine spots up there. I'll let it be. Okay. Take our dark blue. Touch of black. Mix that in there. Make a darker gray. Get in some dramatic shadowy spots. Like that. Paint in our little rails. Ooh, got super shaky. Super shaky. There we go. Indications of railings. Dark there. Okay. I'm not going to, but my thought is to get in here with an ink pen and really, you know, I'm gonna make a rusty kind of dark. I'm gonna take this maroon and maybe a touch of this ochre looking color, which is actually yellow ochre. definitely kind of drag it around on my blue rocks here and there. Added depth and dimension. Doesn't need to be perfect, and well, yeah, see, a little interest. I like it. Do some over here. It's less confusing, right? Now it looks like there's rocks in the water instead of just dark spots. Like that. It's fun, right? I like it. Yeah, but I do feel like I need a little more. Yeah, a little shadow down here where it meets the rocks, and then maybe touch more up this side. Are we liking it? I'm kind of digging it. Fun, loose practice. Perfection is not required or even necessary. I do have this white over here. I don't really have clean water, though, is my problem. This one's less dirty. This is that pearl white. There we go, that's better. This is just regular white. And given that this is a very, well, not very, but a fairly opaque paint, we can come in and over the top, pop in a little froth, maybe a bit of spattering. Yeah, bit of frothy spatter coming up like that. Then we can put some down here. It's a little more dense paint, a little more thick. Kind of drag the brush around and create some interesting little movements on the page. Like that. A little bit of fuzzy froth right there, kind of coming down. It gets a little calmer over here because we're on this side of the stones. There's movement, but it's not quite as intense. Or quite as light. Put in some, a little bit of dark over here. Yeah, I like that better. So it looks like there's rock under the water, right? Kind of peeking through, making things dark here and there. Yeah, fun. Okay. Oh, right. I was going to put a little bit of white right here. And we can see the underside of that roof line. And maybe just a glow out from our yellow. It's a little green now. Let's blot that. Leave it alone. Alright, and then we can go over the top. Pretty dry brush, indigo and black. We're gonna, instead of using a pen, gently, with the tips of the hairs of the brush, dragging it on the page. Too heavy over there, but that's alright. Once again, it's a painting. It doesn't need to be perfect. It can have imperfections. Part of the charm, right? And if you don't care for it, just blot it a little bit. Let's come back down here and put in a little interest on our rail. Here. That. And maybe a little more. Getting too heavy with the brush. Should be in here with a liner. Come down. Create just a bit of drama through here. Blot so that it softens it. Yeah, I dig that. Okay. Then we can come down here, give it a little drag of that dark out to there. A little bit of drama on this side. Blot. Just a little skosh of a little bit, nothing crazy. Over that window, and then over here, let's get in our other window. That. Okay. Drag that up and down right there. A little swooshy blood. Yeah, I dig it. Alright. Should I stop picking at it? I think we should stop picking at it. I do have some splatters up here. Wasn't trying to do that. Just gonna gently drag the brush across them and kind of soften them in like that. Can I do that with this pink right here? And I'm not so crazy about. It's alright. We'll leave it alone. What do you guys think? I'm kind of digging it. Like I said, I haven't done a lighthouse in quite a while. Oh, a little too wet. That's okay. A little too wet down here. It's going to take forever to dry. Just blot that up. Spread it around. Okay, let's take off our tape. I really want to get in here with an ink pen and like fine line that lighthouse, but I'm gonna leave it alone. Gently peel off the tape like so. Ta-da! Not bad. The tape's really good. I may come in later, like tomorrow or something, after I live with it for a few days, because at this point, if I mess with it too much more, I'm just going to ruin it completely. I'm going to blot these corners where the paint got out of hand. I don't know if I can pick that up off that edge. Can I? Pretty good. Not too bad. I don't pick too much. There we go. There's our watercolor practice for today. You guys let me know what you think in the comments below. I do love the Gansai Tambi paints. They are fun to use. And this was a relaxing practice for me. I had a blast. I'm feeling pretty mellow. I'm gonna drink more coffee and work on some sketches in my sketchbooks. For you guys, I will see in the next video. Don't forget to like, subscribe if you're new, and yeah, thanks for being here. Bye.